All right, final hour of the Connor Happer Show on your Thursday. John Schreiner, Josh Odson with you. We're doing predictions. We're talking about dudes naming dudes. You get those things that come across your timeline like, hey, name the first player of this that pops into your head.
You can't say John Elway. Name a Bronco.
Name the first 90s Husker that pops into your head.
Damon Benning.
Hey, that was fast.
I'm always thinking about Damon.
It's funny, like I was just thinking about this. I think this year I know more about the upcoming college football season than I have in probably the last 10.
Yeah, oftentimes I'm feeling out, not Nebraska, but like other teams across the country throughout their non-conference season. Like, ooh, wow, Tennessee hung 76 on somebody today.
And I don't know.
Watch them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like, because look, the last decade of Nebraska football has been so disheartening that I find myself almost not paying attention as closely. And like the lead up to the season, I'm just like, they're not going to be any good. I'm not paying attention. But the optimism surrounding this year has sort of infected, like it's just kind of spread its tentacles out into the rest of my knowledge of college football. And I'm consuming more articles and reading more things and watching the preseason stuff. And I was always the guy who was like, I was reading everything. I was watching every game that I possibly could. I would watch replays of games that I missed.
Big and 60.
Yeah. But then, like, as I took on more and more broadcasting gigs, it's like I'm calling a game on Saturday. So I watched the Nebraska replay if I missed it. And then it's like, that's the only game I watched that day. Not really paying attention to as much of the college football media stories. Don't know as many of the players. Not this year. This year, I'm like locked in. I know more about all the major conferences and the teams than I think I have since probably my early 20s.
Can't remember the name of the show. That's bugging me. It's a very simple name. ESPN does like a hour-long highlight show, like a scoreboard show, and I find myself digesting that because I get a quick story, a stat or two, and I can follow more things that way.
But yeah, I don't know. Is that a thing? Like, are people? I wonder if people in Nebraska fans, when the hype around Nebraska, the optimism around Nebraska is greater, if they're also paying attention to more college football, like outside of the borders.
I would assume so. Above average, right?
Is there a bleed over effect? Mm-hmm. When Nebraska's good, you're also paying attention to the rest of college football.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, seems that way. All right, Josh, let's get to our predictions for the SEC and the Big Ten, the big dogs. Again, here's the exercise. We're doing the two teams that we think are going to make it to the conference title game, who's going to win, and then the number 3 team who's just on the outside looking in. So we gave you ACC, Big 12, Florida State, Utah. It's unanimous in the studio. Those are our two champions for those two conferences. Let's see if we keep it rolling here. I don't think we're going to. I'm going to surprise you.
Oh.
All right, Josh, your top 3 in the SEC.
SEC, it just means more. Again, I will go 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
I think sort of default is not the right word, but certainly there's no way Ole Miss can mess this up. Right?
Jackson Dart, good player.
Yeah. Despite having no running backs at all, I still think Texas will finish second in this conference. And I think Georgia, bold take by me, Georgia wins the SEC.
I'll tell you, I wanted to pick Texas really badly for this. And before the injury stuff, I probably would have. But I do have concerns with only 3 scholarship running backs on the roster now.
Yeah, Texas, you need 8 like Nebraska.
Texas is 2. At 3, I have Tennessee.
Okay.
I like the young quarterback.
I dabbled with him.
I like the defense. I told you already, James Pierce Jr., I think he's going to be the number 1 overall draft pick. I think he's going to win the Defensive Player of the Year awards. I think this guy is going to be just a monster on the defensive side, and I think Tennessee benefits from that, which makes Georgia the default SEC champion. Like, if it's not Texas, Georgia.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how much I like this edition of Georgia.
Great point. Like, whoever you're putting at 3, whether it's Ole Miss, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, Missouri, has a giant question mark of some kind. Texas feels a little better than those other teams. And Georgia didn't last year. So, like, how long are they going to be kept out? Like, just feels sort of inevitable.
I mean, if they hadn't lost Alabama in the SEC title game, they would have been in the playoff.
Yeah.
So,
thanks, Georgia.
They have a lot of returners. You have your quarterback who's a Heisman favorite. Like,
your quarterback's dating a Cavender. I'm not sure which one, but
there's a lot of reasons to like Georgia, and I can't quite figure out why I'm not 100% sold.
Right.
I can't quite press down below the surface far enough to find out what it is that just gives me a little bit of pause.
They're a little boring. They're
very boring. They're very much like glassy-eyed killer, like not that interesting, but they just win. I don't know. So there you go. We both think Georgia's going to win the SEC.
I mean, gosh, do college football fans listening to this show, do you remember 2023 Georgia and just how sleepwalky they were through the whole season until
but
it got
never
to the end?
in danger. Like they were never in danger of losing. They just kind of slow. It's like a steam. They were like a steamroller.
Yeah,
going slowly down the street, and nobody could get out of the way.
They were like Michael Myers. They're going so slow and not saying anything. How do they manage to murder everyone they face?
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about this edition of Georgia. All right. The big ticket, Big Ten, the one we all care about around here the most. Do you have Nebraska in your top 3? Are you going out on the limb yet?
John, I'm glad you asked. I don't.
Okay.
This is
sad trombone.
This is about as chalky as I can go. I feel, for the exact same reasons I picked Ole Miss at number 3, I am picking Penn State at number 3 in the Big Ten. Surely there's no way Penn State can mess this up, right? Kind of tailor-made for them to finish 3rd in the conference and make the college football playoff.
Yep.
And then
they're going to be 10-2. They're going to make the playoff.
They're going to have everyone's going to go, this is the team.
They're going to be boring.
You're going to hear all season, this year it's different. This year it's different. It's not different at all. The rules of the game just changed to benefit mediocre to good teams like Penn State and Ole Miss.
Yep.
I have Oregon finishing 2nd because Ohio State's coach Ryan Day is coaching for his job.
Ooh.
I have them pulling out a win in the Big Ten championship game. Now, maybe they don't win the first game at Autzen.
Yeah.
But they could win the Big Ten championship.
Like you, there's no way Penn State can mess this up, right? I think Penn State's the 3rd best team in the conference. I think they finish 3rd. I think they finally get one over on Michigan, but they're not going to get past Ohio State. They're going to be right there. They'll be close. They'll be Penn State. And I actually think Oregon's going to win the conference.
Okay.
Which means Ohio State's at 2. And here's the reason why. You may have heard the news. We did not break it because everyone kind of knew. Will Howard's been named the starting quarterback at Ohio State. Now, officially announced today. I'm out. I don't think Will Howard is an upgrade at quarterback. I like the overall roster talent for Ohio State. It's tremendous. It always is. To me, you're going to get the same thing with Will Howard that you got with Kyle McCord, just in a slightly different box. It's a different Amazon package that they delivered to your doorstep, but the same thing is inside. And that's a loss to Oregon in the conference title game. I'm actually kind of the opposite of you. Now, I think that Ohio State may win the first game. I don't think they win the championship. I think Oregon is the team that's going to win the conference title game, which means Ohio State's in the college football playoff, but they're playing a home game. We're going to get a college football playoff game in the shoe in December.
That would be the only thing on the line in the Big Ten championship game.
Yep. So for me, like, would you rather have a home game or would you not? I think it would be fun to have a college football playoff game and get one of the teams from the South to have to come up and play in Columbus, Ohio in December and see what happens. Mm-hmm. That's going to be fun.
I heard one of these talking heads of hair on one of the networks advocate for not getting a first round bye.
Oh.
You don't want to win your conference. You want to play a home playoff game.
No, because
you want the momentum going throughout the entire playoff.
I understand. And I get it. Like, we see wild card teams in the NFL make a run because they're still locked in. They didn't have the week off to lounge around and take a little mini vacation and
playing EA Sports all day, not focusing on the game.
Yeah, I get it. But if you had to win 3 games to win a title, or 2 games to win a title, or 4 games to win a title, or 3 games to win a title, which would you rather have? You'd rather have 3.
That's right.
Yeah. Fewer chances to blow it. Now, for those who are fiscally inclined, having that extra home date, especially one that's in the college football playoff, where you can charge exorbitant sums of money for tickets.
Literally anything. You set the market.
You're going to like that. You're going to like your returns on that product. But no, if your interest is winning the championship, you definitely want the bye. Now, having that extra home game is pretty cool. I agree. I like it, and I understand the logic.
Going to be a great moment for you and your academic institution.
But for a team that's coming off playing in a conference title game, and just lost that conference title game, and you have to go out and play and turn around and play again against another really good team. You just played a really good team in your conference championship game, right? Like, you just had a very tough game. Now you've got to turn around and play a team that you are unfamiliar with, probably from another conference.
What do you mean we have to play Liberty this week? What's a Liberty?
What is a Liberty? No, the argument breaks down once you start to think about it. It's one of those things that, like, hey, this makes sense if you don't think about it.
Yeah, just don't think about it. You ever tried that?
My brother says this all the time. Makes sense if you don't think about it.
Hakuna Matata, am I right?
That is no way to live your life.
Have you tried just not worrying about it?
All right. So there's only one disagreement between us on who wins the 4 major conferences.
Maybe should have copied off each other's papers. So we could have had a zag.
So there you go.
At least it was in the Big Ten.
It was. It wasn't. It was local, the disagreement. ACC, we both say Florida State. Big 12, we both say Utah. SEC, we both say Georgia. Josh says Ohio State. Big 10, I say Oregon. And those are our predictions for the Big 4. And in no way will we be judged harshly when all these things indeed do not come to fruition.
How was I supposed to know Carson Beck dropped out of school in October?
What do you mean Carson Beck got picked up in his Hellcat going 114 miles an hour? Because that's the Georgia brand.
I guess the odds were somewhat favorable of that.
You should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
All right.